G'day folks, Jason here from the Udder Farm. We're actually on the Udder Farm property this afternoon. What I'll be doing today is you're directly in line with my fence line, my timeless fence line I'm going to erect. As you can see, there's a corner here. It goes around and it goes across a creek crossing down here. So it's not 180 degrees, there's a bit of an angle. And what I want to know is, can I use a timeless H-post, or do I need to go into the timeless brace system? As you can see, this is the brace I put in a couple of days ago. So my fence line is running down there, and as you can see, I've already run a string line out all the way down there, and it goes straight through 180. So I'm going to use a couple of O'Brien step-ins to make this easy. So the way to work it out, this is the pivot point. This is where I want to put the H-post if I can. So that string line, what you do is you measure down that string line 20 foot, and then you move this string line to where you want your fence to go, and you measure down there 20 foot. So it's 20 foot straight along the 180 at the moment, and then 20 foot down where your fence line wants to go, 20 foot. Put those two O'Brien step-ins in, and then we'll take it from there. So there's my pivot point. I've measured straight down. I put the O'Brien step-in, and as you can see, that's right on 20 foot. What I'll do now is I'll bring that string line up, and I'll bring it out here where I want my fence to go, and we'll measure out 20 foot again from that pivot point. I was just thinking, yes, and it did hurt a little bit, I don't need to move that string line out. I've already got my pivot point set up here with my tape and the O'Brien step-in. I just need to bring that tape out into the mode section where my fence line's going to go and put an O'Brien step-in in. I have these bright thoughts occasionally. If you ask Nick, it doesn't happen very often. And clearly from here, I'm a mile off. I need to come over about another 2 foot. That's perfect. As you can see, I've got all my posts in now, so that's where I'm trying to determine whether I can get away with the H-post. So that's the pivot point. And down there is the one in the straight line. If the fence was going straight through, imaginary line, 180. And that's where I want the fence to go. So from there to there, I've measured 20 foot along the string line. Then I've grabbed the tape measure from there and just pulled it across to there, because it was still joined to here, so that's the pivot point. And I dragged it across the tape to where I want the fence to go, and then I put the other O'Brien step-in at 20 foot. So that's the 180 straight down, 20 foot, and this is the pivot point with the tape, and as you can see, it's dead on 20 foot right there. Now it's the time of truth, whether this is going to be sufficient for my H-post. So this has to be less than 30 degrees. So to work that out, these two posts have to be 10 foot apart or less. And if it's less, it's good news. I can get away with a H-post. But if it's greater than 10 foot, then you need a bracing system because the corner is too tight. So we'll run this tape out and we'll have a look. Good news, 7 foot 8 inches apart. Where my tape is sitting out there, that's the 10 foot mark. So I'm well and truly in that zone. So let's drill this hole and we'll put the H-post in. Before we drill this hole, I'll just show you so you guys can see. So as you can see there, 7 foot, come down the tape, O'Brien step in, 8 foot. So you're allowed to go right out to there, and I've got that set at 10 foot. at the end of that tape. So I've got loads of movement. So you might be wondering, how deep do you need to make this hole? Well, really, it's predetermined for you. On the back of every T-post, H-post, and brace for that matter, Timeless put a sticker. So there's a sticker there. It'll either be a sticker, that's old school, but they go away and they've got a labelling machine now, so they roll on ink. But either way, there's a label there. And you've got to bury the post to the top of the label. The old stickers say bury post to the top of here. I'm sure the labels haven't got that, but you just bury it to the ink mark on the post. So where that is minimum depth you need to put a H post is 30 inches, and that's exactly to the top of that sticker. So without further ado, we'll get it concreted in, because I'm running out of sunshine here. The sun's starting to set. The only additional thing you need to remember when you're putting in a H post, because it's on a corner and it's not 180 degrees, when you strain it, the pressure of the lines is going to want to tilt the post inwards. So when you're putting in a H post on a corner like it is here, the recommendation from Timeless, I've seen Mike do it numerous times, is you lay it back at about 3/4 of a bubble out. That way, when you start straining, it'll have a tendency to straighten up. You don't want to leave it square, because then it'll be pulling it in and it'll be leaning inwards. Let's get it concreted. You want to move back away from the hole when you pour that in after you poured it, because that dust's no good. They recommend wearing a mask. I just like getting back away from it and let it blow away. So I just completed my final checks now. We'll let that dry overnight, and then we'll come back and we'll ram that dirt back into the hole. So how much concrete do you put in the hole? Timeless recommend filling the hole either halfway up with Quikrete. I use post mix. It's called post mix concrete over here in Australia. So I use that. So recommendation 50% up, or they also mention an 80-pound bag. So 80 pounds here in Australia converts back to 35 kilos. The maximum bag I can get is 30 kilos. So I've dumped that in. I know Australia here, they do make post mix also in a 20 kilo bag. That's not enough. You want to be at least going 1.5 of those 20 kilo bags, if not 1 3/4, to get to that 50% mark, or that 35 kilos. I've just used a 30 kilo bag here, and it comes just below half. So I'm losing the sun now, guys. It's going down. So we'll let this, like I said, let it sit overnight, and I'll see you tomorrow. Obviously it's the next morning now, so the concrete's firm enough. We'll start ramming this dirt back in around this H post. When it comes to ramming this dirt in, I only like to put in about 6 inches at a time. If you go any more than that, you won't get a good firm ram on the soil, and you'll end up with a load left over. So you want to try and put it as compact as possible around the post. we're done. Terray's probably 4 inches there above the ground. This is pretty wet clay, so it had a chance to dry out overnight and it was hard to ram in, so 4 inches isn't too bad. Considering we had 30 kilos of cement going there as well. So over time, that'll sink down pretty well to flush. Anyway, have a good morning, have a terrific afternoon, and an awesome evening, guys, wherever you're watching this from, and we'll catch you later.